When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind to Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The 18 that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the mic.
Welcome to Rewind to Raw. It's John Pollock and Wai Ting. A happy belated birthday, Mr. Ting.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you. We're both 37 now.
We are 74.
74? Oh, total. Yes, we are a combined total. Or, as we usually kind of calculate on these shows, we are both cross swords and skulls this year.
Okay, yes. Yeah, exactly. Kind of a holdover from last year, a little bit.
You know, there is a subtle change. They added 2 swords instead of one, just exactly. One sword. So it's a big difference.
Oh, it's their second stab at things.
Yeah, back to business.
Maybe they should have had
back in business,
like vaccine needles instead.
Ooh, that would be a great place to administer vaccines, wouldn't it?
Raymond James Stadium is a vaccine site. Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay. So you come to WrestleMania with your price of ticket, you also get a vaccine. And then you can come the next day for your second dose. How perfect is that?
I don't think that's how it works, but sure, why not? Yeah.
All right, whatever. Well,
you can upgrade your tickets and get the vaccine special. Why not?
Well, I do hope that, we get to that level of administration at some point. It seems like the wait is taking forever here. In our part of the world,
it's getting better if you're in that
60 to 64 range.
There, it's going pretty quick there. I have 3 family members that all got appointments today for their first vaccine in that age group. So it seems that is the age range you want to be in right now. So you're not quite there at 37.
No, I'm not quite there. And
you and I are going to be going on like Christmas morning to get our first doses. That's probably what Ontario is going to be speed-wise getting us to.
Might be the case right now, but yeah, it's if you're 59, sorry. If you're 65, sorry about that too. But you get a discount bus pass, so that's kind of nice. But if you're in that 60 sweet spot, the 60-64 range, congratulations.
Man, there's going to be some fake IDs going out.
Oh,
yeah, I'm 62.
And then
way easier. Like if you're 55 or 85, there's a wide range of what could pass for 60 to 65.
Very true. You think there'll be like a bouncer at the door, like looking at your ID, checking to see if you're actually 60?
I don't want to go on too many detours tonight because there's like 10 million things we have to talk about. But when I worked at the movie theater, there was the 65 and older discount where you would get X amount off your 65 and older, you got a discounted price. And there was one woman who would card people, like senior citizens. She would card them. Awesome. And it was just so awkward every time she would do it, that here are these people who are legitimately 65 years old that are not trying to game famous players to get a $2 discount. Okay, you're 65, but she'd like hold it up and look and cross-reference. It's like, my God.
The thing is if that person ever caught one person trying to cheat the system, they would think that their work was justified.
I wouldn't have even cared. If you're like, you know what, if you're going to this length, I'll give you a free movie pass. Honestly.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that's happening. I think they have probably more thorough checks for something like this.
Probably. Okay, let's talk about what's coming up this week. This is a massive week on the Post Wrestling Cafe. There's something every day of the week for your enjoyment. On Tuesday, we're going to have Rewind Away. I'm looking forward to this one. We're going back to review Evolve 1 from January of 2010. And we're going to have a Q&A up on the site for free for everybody with Lenny Leonard, the voice of Evolve. He's going to chat about this show. And then you can join the cafe and listen to Wai and I review this big event from 2010. Davey Richards versus Kota Ibushi.
That's a great get, John. I'm looking forward to that. This is a pick, of course, from our friend John Cino, full rewind away. And man, some of the names that appear on this show from their 10-year ago incarnations include Johnny Gargano. Wait till you see Ricochet's hair on this show. Might be a look you would think about going back to at this point, refresh that style. But, like even somebody like Chris Dickinson looking almost unrecognizable. And, man, some of these other names. Who else is on the show? I mean, Bobby Fish versus Kyle O'Reilly is on the show.
Yep.
Yeah, so it'll be one that'll be really fun to talk about because of just like how important so many of the names are today.
Yeah, a lot of this show will be about kind of the formation of this group and some of its history as well as we go through that. Of course, our regular Wednesday shows will be live with Dynamite after that for our Double Plus patrons. On Thursday, it's the return of the wellness policy. Every 30 days, the wellness policy hits, and it's Jordan Goodman and Wai Ting.
I hope you guys line up for your tests, yes, because it is the return of the wellness policy, 3 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays. We go live once a month talking about several topics that have to do with wellness, mental health, really just kind of overall well-being. In this month, Jordan and I are going to take a bit of a deeper dive into the concept of meditation. I'm definitely more of a novice, and Jordan is somebody who is a lot more experienced with it. So I'll kind of be picking his brain about it all. We'll be talking about the Headspace Introduction to Meditation series on Netflix, as well as a book called How to Meditate by Pema Children. So I hope you guys join us in the Post Wrestling Cafe for that. But if you cannot, the archive will be available on Friday.
And then you're kicking off a new show on Saturday.
That is correct. Yeah. The return of our MCU reviews, but it is our new incarnation. It is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier that we'll be talking about starting Saturday night / Sunday morning is when you'll get those podcasts. It's me and WH Park. And if you want a bit of an introduction into this, the cast of characters that are there, we have recently released our final edition of RewandaVision right on this free feed. So if you scroll down a couple shows, you'll find not just a review of the WandaVision assembled documentary. You'll find an interview that I did with the commercial man, Ithamar Enriquez, who happens to be a huge wrestling fan himself. But at the end of the show, you'll also get a pretty deep dive preview and primer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you join us in the Post Wrestling Cafe, you get all of that, plus Rewind to SmackDown on Friday.
Yeah, that's a really great show that you guys put out over the weekend, including the interview. So some really interesting stuff about just someone actually in the process of involved in the filming of this series. And then Sunday night will be live right after Fastlane, and we will be talking about what the point of this show was. And that will be live for our Double Ice Cap and Espresso patrons. A very packed week. I'll also make mention that Thursday there will be a bonus British Wrestling Experience roundtable looking at the career of Sting. And Martin has enlisted Nate Milton and Chris from LA to talk about the legacy of one Steve Borden.
I think that actually teases up to the main event of Post Wrestling this week because just like last week was WH Park week, I want to christen this week Nate Milton week here at the Post Wrestling Network, because not only will he be joining the British Wrestling Experience on their roundtable talking about the man called Sting, this Saturday also sees the release of the latest edition of the Rocky Maivia Picture Show. He will be talking about Moana, arguably maybe The Rock's greatest contribution to date, Moana. And to celebrate Nate Milton and Rocky Maivia Picture Show Week, our rolling sales continue at the Post Wrestling store, store.postwrestling.com. We are giving patrons an unprecedented $7 off of the Rocky Maivia Picture Show. Why $7? Or should I say $7?
Ooh.
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, of course, famously has said in 1995, I only had $7 to my name. And then I'm paraphrasing here, and then it became a millionaire. So we're offering you the same chance, everybody. I'm basically allowing you to be a millionaire. We're allowing you to save the $7 when you buy the Rocky Maivia Picture Show shirt. Anytime from here, now, this point till next Monday, you get $7 off for all patrons. So essentially, if you want to become a new patron, you're basically getting a free membership this month with a Rocky Maivia Picture Show t-shirt. And you get to be a future millionaire, just like The Rock did.
What other Patreon can offer you such a guarantee? as Drew McIntyre said, guarantees are very tough because they can, if you don't deliver, then you lead to a big letdown among fans. Well, we never let anyone down here at Post Wrestling, and we won't be doing that on Saturday, April the 3rd, because I guarantee one of the biggest days in Post Wrestling history, it is Post Podcast Day, beginning at noon Eastern. Saturday, April 3rd, we are going to have 6 live shows. All patrons at all levels will be able to watch and listen to our live shows. We have announced a live edition of Ask Away. We have also announced a special edition of the British Wrestling Experience, and as Benno and Martin will go through the history of WCW in Europe. And we have 2 new shows to announce. Braden Harrington and Davey Portman will come together, and they are going to present a very special Up Next, and it is called Worst WrestleMania Matches Ever.
The worst WrestleMania matches ever.
Wow. The worst WrestleMania matches ever.
You know, I love their best match ever series. A worst match ever series? Sign me up. That might be even better.
Get ready. Sit back and turn on Big Show and Aki Bono. They will be going through the worst that WrestleMania has had to offer since 1985. But that's not all. It's a special assembly for Post Podcast Day. From different parts of the country, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates will be coming together. Nate Milton, Andrew Thompson, and Chris from LA will be live on Post Podcast Day.
That's big news to me because I'm a huge fan of that show. Typically, that show only exists in the Kings of Sport world on their Patreon, but the fact that they're able to bring it here for us, it is one of my favorite shows, and they're 3 of my favorite minds, when it comes to pro wrestling. So I am looking forward to the return of the NWA.
So it is building up Saturday, April the 3rd for all patrons to take part in. Whole schedule for the week is up at postwrestling.com, and definitely go check out the finale of Rewind Division. So some great stuff of late. We also have an interview today up with Anthony Kingdom James, a friend of the site. He is involved with this new book on Steve Austin that ECW Press is putting out together. And he did the illustrations and shared some interesting details, because this book was in conjunction with WWE and some of the restrictions that they had. Who could not be drawn in this book? You can find out in that interview. Yes.
Interesting.
That's a tease right there. Plus, we also talked about the local scene, what impact the pandemic is going to have, and his own views on his future promoting in the city as well. So that is up there if you want to check out that with Anthony Kingdom James. But let's get into the news. There was quite a bit of it. I want to start off with WrestleMania, and you heard several times throughout Raw that the on sale for WrestleMania tickets was scheduled to be tomorrow, Tuesday. It has been delayed, and they did not have a whole lot of concrete information. If you were someone that was planning this past week for a WrestleMania trip, they kind of just left you out on a limb to assume when tickets will go on sale. They said they plan to have an on sale date within the week. And that's all that was said.
It's honestly quite uncommon, I think, for WWE to announce something and then is something like an on sale date and then not go through with it. So if they have delayed it, I'm assuming it was for probably, a reason really out of their control. And with the situation changing as much as it has, I really can probably understand why they would probably have to do this. And unfortunately, not much other info for now.
Yeah, I mean, it was very vague. We saw it was first reported in the Observer that they were aiming for 45,000 fans per night. So, I mean, this is going to be a big undertaking, and we will see. I mean, last week when they announced this on sale date, they did not announce, how many they would be looking to hold inside Raymond James Stadium. It was just that, safety protocols and such, that information would be released in the future. So I would say if you are someone that is planning to go to WrestleMania, you probably have a lot of questions, but I would imagine a lot over the past week, and just seeing where it seems that the mindset towards the pandemic is heading once again. I think there are people that are dead set on traveling and going to this event. Flights, I think they had their most travelers in the U.S. since the pandemic began over the weekend. So I think you're starting to see people believe that it's the light at the end of the tunnel, and they are rapidly moving back to what is perceived as normal life.
We are less than 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, so anybody looking to make their reservations, I'm sure they have questions, but at the same time, I think this year we'll rely a lot on drive-in traffic, maybe people making those longer drives at night. So, we'll see how it all plays out.
So that ties into Dana White's announcement on Monday night. It's a big deal, Way, when I'm putting Dana White right near the top here of the news. Dana White has announced that UFC 261 on Saturday, April 24th, will take place from the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida, full capacity.
How many people?
He is stating 15,000 fans.
My God. Wow. Sorry, when was that date?
April 24th. Full arena, indoors. Dana White is just going full force, and they have announced 3 championship fights. We already knew it would be Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade, as well as Zhang Wei Li defending the strawweight title against Rose Namajunas. They have now added the main event of the evening, a rematch between Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. So Leon Edwards, after the no contest on Saturday, not getting the immediate title fight, but instead it will be Jorge Masvidal. And actually, timing-wise, it might actually work out for Edwards that he just fought and could potentially be in line for the winner of this fight, unless they feel he needs to fight again after the no contest on Saturday. But this, to me, is going to be a show more so built around the circumstances and the setting than any of the fights even. I mean, Usman Masvidal will be your promoted main event, but they are, I'm sure, going to be promoting this as much as UFC's first full capacity crowd since March of last year.
Have there been other events that have taken place at this capacity that you know of, John?
Indoors?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of indoor events that have been this large. Obviously, we have seen like outdoor stadiums and, NASCAR stuff, larger crowds there.
So it's not a case where, I mean, the government obviously is allowing this in Florida.
The mayor put out a statement. The mayor of Jacksonville put out a tweet tonight just thanking the UFC, like, welcome.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously there's like some good news to be found in, with vaccinations and things like that, but it's we're not out of this like by a long shot. So it's obviously you have to be concerned, but this is Dana White.
So in a totally unrelated note, Fightful Select was the first to report today that we can expect to see changes to this week's NXT because it appears that there are more COVID cases at the NXT level. And this has been a recurring story, but one that nonetheless, it's still concerning when you hear these. The Observer added that what is known is that on Thursday of last week, they were building and moving rings at the building next door to the Performance Center, and it was said that workers were not wearing masks. So we don't know numbers-wise how many this is going to impact, whether it be positive tests or contact tracing. But on Wednesday, it seems like this will affect Wednesday's show in whatever form or fashion it will be.
Seems like it, yeah. On some level, I feel like news like this is inevitable anytime you're talking about a sporting event with people in close contact. But you also look at
these two stories we just talked back to back. Okay, these are, NXT is not employing 15,000 people, and you're talking about these two things together. Doesn't quite add up.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. I mean, I also look at maybe it's hard to compare like promotions and how often they're together, but like we've not heard of maybe a mass amount of positives in the way we have heard of several times with the WWE, the way we have like with AEW, for instance. So
UFC, there's been a ton because there's been so many fights that have fallen apart because of people with COVID. I mean, you have the gym situation with, fighters getting set, but it's been, I'm sure if you were to go back and add that up, like the UFC, it's been a high number of fighters and those around them that have contracted it over the past year.
Getting this close to WrestleMania, I imagine they'd want they wouldn't want any of this negative PR affecting any of their press heading to that big show, especially like with the deal with Peacock. So,
and 2 nights of TakeOver, 2 nights of WrestleMania. I mean, that's a realistic concern to have going into that week. But I mean, you see this of what WWE is going through, and even if it's a small number, it's a number nonetheless. And we don't know. We don't really know what the number is, but when you're talking about running a UFC card, I mean, no distancing, like running at full capacity means you are going to be like, that is not it's not like Daly's place, which is outside and you're in pods and you're separate from people. Like, that seems like you will be taking a risk. And I think part of that is on the fan that is buying tickets is assuming that risk. I don't think you can go into this naive. You're understanding what you are signing up for, and hopefully it turns out fine, but that would not be a ticket I would be going after. But I don't speak for everybody. New Japan Cup. Over the weekend, we had the conclusion of the second round, actually, that wrapped up today. Kenta defeated Minoru Suzuki. Shingo Takagi beat Hiroki Goto. That was on Saturday. Sunday's show had Will Ospreay beat Zack Sabre Jr. in an outstanding match. Did you get to see any of this?
I saw that match. Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, as you would expect from the two, but yeah, it was great. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I thought Zack was a terrific babyface. Ospreay, I loved when he teased the space flying tiger drop and instead he just slides. I don't do that anymore. But Ospreay was great, got his nose busted up, but did work today's show. And then the other second round match on Sunday was Sonata beating Yuji Nagata. And then today, David Finlay beat Yoshihashi, and Jay White pinned Hiroshi Tanahashi after hitting the Blade Runner. So that sets up the quarterfinals. We're at the Elite Eight. So Tuesday, it's Shingo against Kenta, Evil versus Yano, and then Thursday is Jay White versus David Finlay. That has a cool backstory to it. And Will Ospreay versus Sonata. That is our final 8.
All right, good looking final 8.
Did you get to sample any of AEW Dark Elevation, a 2+ hour premiere tonight?
Oh man, not yet. Have you?
I got to see a bit of it. I think that Paul White is going to do just fine in commentary. It seemed like he did research. He came across very, very good playing off of Tony Schiavone. And you can see like he has the right attitude about doing this, like being very self-deprecating about himself, going out of his way to put I only saw 2 matches, but like you could see he was really trying to emphasize the talent with Jungle Boy and Danny Limelight. You can tell, and it's not surprising, the fact that he wanted to do commentary. He's definitely coming into this, to me, with like the right mindset for it. So I'm interested to hear more of him. Obviously, this is very new territory for him, but I liked what I heard in the limited amount that I saw on Monday.
Get a chance to see any of the features or any of the different production elements?
I saw the Lee Johnson feature. I mean, it's nothing that is going to jump out at you as, you know, it was kind of like a mini Road to piece, even like shorter. It was about 2 minutes. And the look of the show, I can't say you're going to be distinguishing this show from Dark itself. It was very much the same. I don't know how much more you're going to do. It's the same venue. It's the same look. I mean, people are going to look at this as 2 more hours of Dark. I don't think you're going to see a giant difference between both versions.
See, my biggest curiosity outside of hearing the Big Show is to see how John Cena is able to cram now 2 editions of AEW Dark into 15 minutes, plus everything else he talks about on Shot in the Dark.
Well, I'm not crazy about both being this length. I mean, this was week 1. We'll see if this continues, but if we're going to get 2-hour shows Monday and Tuesday night, it is going to burn even like your hardcore AEW viewer out of dedicating that amount of time for watching different independent wrestlers. I do want to see this show be different, whether it be heavy focus on 4 matches and do some more personality profiles, be more heavier on promo styles, like make this different in a way that is going to showcase your talent in different lights rather than just in ring. Like this could be where someone that's not a great promo can go out and and work on that aspect. I just want to see them be different. It's great that this independent talent is getting work during the pandemic, but I think for the viewer and for this show to grab onto people, it's got to differentiate itself from AEW Dark, because you have that, and it's a 2-hour outlet every Tuesday night. I don't know how much people are clamoring for 2 more hours of that. And the last note is that SmackDown on Friday did 2,171,000 viewers, a 0.61 in the demo. So they were slightly down in viewers, but were up a small amount in the 18 to 49 number. In Canada, they did just under 191,000 viewers, going against the Ottawa Senators and Edmonton Oilers, and the kings of sports on Friday night in Canada, curling.
Oh, yes.
Dude, curling's a beast, and I've really seen these numbers and stuff. Like, you realize, like, curling's a big deal in this country.
Somehow it's a phenomenon that I've largely missed, but and I'm never too old to get into curling. Yeah. What do they say, like, when you curl? What is this thing you're supposed to yell?
What am I doing? I don't know. I've gone curling once. I think I went curling with you.
We went on a company thing. Yeah, it was it was interesting.
It was okay. Like, you get it out of your system. It's like, I can understand where people get an enjoyment out of this. I would not be wanting to do this every week of my life, but I sure.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, what did they yell during curling? Hurry, hurry, hurry hard.
All right. Anything else going on with you, Wai? Anything else you want to share?
Not a whole lot.
You had a good birthday?
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice. I had some good Thai food, and just had a relaxing night in.
Well, then you had this. Tonight's episode of Raw. A big show to get you set for WrestleMania, with this little distraction on Sunday. Immediately, they announce that it is Bobby Lashley against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. That's that. We're going to cut through all the BS. Drew's the number one contender. He's still going to face Sheamus on Sunday for whatever reason, but we know what the outcome is, so we're just going to announce the match now. Which I've got to think that part of this was, we need to announce this match tonight because we went into this show and wrote this show with the thinking that tickets are going on sale tomorrow.
Good point. Yeah, you could be very right about that. On top of that, I suppose it's like, man, how many people truly believe this Sheamus match is going to have any impact on the result of WrestleMania either way? They did have a longer story to tell throughout the night, kind of catering towards Lashley versus Drew. I don't dislike the decision. It's just, not insulting our intelligence.
Yes, this show on Sunday, though, is if this were the non-network era, I think this show would be one of the lowest bought of all time.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah. I mean, I think they have enough trouble with like these kind of mid, between Rumble and WrestleMania shows to get people's interest up there. This one, I don't even know how hard they're really trying, to be honest.
I don't think they're even trying to. I don't think they want to make you think any differently than what you're getting for WrestleMania. Tonight's show was essentially almost as if it's like Fastlane was last night and we're now making the hard push for WrestleMania. It almost feels like Fastlane is a blip on Sunday.
So certainly the number one priority of this company from this point forward until WrestleMania is to try to get as many people migrated over to Peacock as possible. Do you think they did a good enough job tonight?
So one thing watching in Canada is that we're not seeing a lot of the ad inventory for the U.S. consumer. I would say within the body of the show, which is all we can judge from our perspective, I thought it was fine, but hardly the push I was assuming we would see tonight for this migration or I shouldn't even say migration because the onus is on you to sign up for Peacock, but the launch on the 18th this week. I didn't think it like they were hitting home that Fastlane is exclusively on Peacock, and they did it. They did run the ad with the discounted price for people signing up. I thought it was moderate. I think you came out of it, you would be aware that it's moving to Peacock, but with WWE, they usually just hammer it on top of you. I don't think it was at the level of the on sale date, how it was pushed last week. I thought that was promoted harder last week.
I'm guessing, on Sunday, they'll see how much of the crowd automatically kind of do it themselves. And then I think you'll start to see a real big push, after Fastlane as they head towards the WrestleMania weekend events.
are you expecting that there's going to be a lot of backlash from people that are going to switch over to Peacock and are not aware of the library situation? Because I think I'd say a significant percentage probably assume that it's going to be verbatim what the WWE Network is now, and it's going to be a much scaled down version of what is there now.
Definitely. I think anytime like you change, like we see like interfaces change on Facebook and people complain, a move of this magnitude going into something that I guess, depending on who you ask, might be considered somewhat inferior, but superior in other ways. Let's not forget, like, you get your Peacock subscription and you get your football and Newcastle games and whatever you want to watch. So those are all bonuses that might kind of satisfy some of the maybe differences in access to old wrestling, but you're definitely going to hear a bit more of a vocal minority, I would say, be unhappy with a lot of the offerings. But I don't think it'll be enough to warrant any major change or even a response from the company.
Yeah, I mean, the counter to that is that those signing up at this discounted price are also going to have the whole Peacock library. You're going to have so much more if that appeals to you. Lashley and MVP come out at the beginning, and Lashley has proven everyone wrong. He is going to destroy Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and then will destroy the rest of Raw. The Miz and Morrison are out, and Miz says it's an honor to share the ring with Lashley. Their rivalry is only beginning, and compares them to Hogan Andre, Bret and Michaels, and Austin Rock. And that segues to Miz noting it is 316 week and did the world's most brutal Steve Austin impression.
It was pretty bad. Before we move on, there was quite a bit of talk as I moved into Zoom tonight on the pre-post show about Bobby Lashley's outfit. What did you think of this look?
It didn't keep. I don't have a visual in my head of the look. I mean, he's a fairly sharp dressed man. That's been my overall impression of it. What stood out about tonight, though?
Oh, like a stripy purple suit, and certainly not something that everybody could pull off. But I think for him, he looked great. So much of this segment, to me, they've been doing a great job with Lashley just through the booking and through his in-ring. But I think the presentation of him as just this guy who looks like a champion has been really strong. Just without even talking, the man seemed to be elevated by just looking the part. So I definitely see him, in a couple weeks, just upholding this belt as like a real strong main eventer.
Well, from there, we continue with this dreadful exchange as they talk about Mrs. Cramps. Drew is out. He enters the ring. He just blows past Miz and Morrison, just ignores them, and talks to Bobby about how both of them had similar long paths back to WWE. They had to work harder than anyone else. We left WWE and we started from the bottom. We both had to win the Impact title and then make our way back. MVP notes that Drew still needs to get past Sheamus at Fastlane. Drew could have shrugged his shoulders at this notion. He runs down MVP. Miz is still there on the apron as just the butt of the joke. And Drew says, "You can either attack me from behind or run away as I turn around, but I'm going to hurt you tonight." And they call it a clash of the ages for WrestleMania as he calls Lashley a big, bald bitch. And Lashley jumps him when Miz distracts, beats down Drew, and then Miz gets in on the attack. And Sheamus proceeds to come out and attack Lashley on the stage, setting up our two different matches tonight with Drew selling in the ring, and we would go to the Miz match.
I actually thought it was a pretty successful opening segment, establishing Drew as Lashley's contender while effectively continuing to use Miz there as sort of your comic relief guy who just, despite being destroyed every single week, he's still able to come out and come up with the most kind of last ditch efforts in trying to salvage his chances of somehow main eventing WrestleMania. Like, the man would just not give up. And I actually found him pretty entertaining here.
So Schreiber interviews Sheamus, and he wants Drew at 100% on Sunday, and tonight he wants to face Bobby Lashley. A puzzling match to make, but we will get there. So Drew McIntyre is selling the attack, and he goes forward with the match against The Miz, and he just destroyed this guy. Eventually, Morrison throws his sunglasses at Drew. Drew steps on the sunglasses, and this is the opening for Miz to attack him. Drew quickly comes back, inverted Alabama slam. Morrison is also ejected from all of this. And then the skull-crushing finale is blocked. He beats on Miz some more, rams his head into the steps, which I almost passed out from the camera cuts because every time Miz's head went into the steps, they had to cut to a different angle. This thing was insane. Future Shock DDT, Claymore, but he just sits there, points to the camera, points to the WrestleMania sign, and then applies the Hurt Lock, submitting The Miz in 11 minutes and 19 seconds as yesterday's trash.
This went 11 minutes?
Yes, with a commercial.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Well, I was going to say this was like a pretty good dominant squash for Drew, but at 11 minutes, I suppose it was still him beating up on The Miz for most of it, but I guess they just wanted to extend Drew's time on TV. I thought this was like overall like good build for the WrestleMania main event. You know, you continue to draw association between Drew and Bobby with Drew even doing his finisher, and you're using The Miz just really as, you know, your dummy for your real main eventers to beat up. I mean, The Miz next week is going to come back and with some excuse about why he should still make it to the WrestleMania main event.
Sure. We can continue this week after week. Drew and Bobby, they should be plowing through everybody in the lead up to their match. And that's the Miz's role here, to just be to get run over by the McIntyre truck. They promoted that Bad Bunny, who won the Grammy Award last night for Best Latin Pop or Urban Album, would be here tonight. But before we could get to Bad Bunny, Braun Strowman calls out Shane McMahon. He says that an apology isn't enough. I've been bullied by guys like you all my life. I didn't go to an Ivy League school like you. Shane says, I would never make fun of another human being. Braun knows that McMahons don't apologize for anything, and last week, Shane got scared, and it's why you started to mumble. It's almost like they were trying to cover up for how terrible last week's segment was, that it was like just this disaster that they had to call attention to. Shane then makes fun of Braun's brain flatlining. Braun calls him afraid and says, I want a match with you, Shane, tonight. And Braun, Shane replies, you couldn't handle me. Now I know you're stupid. Then Shane totally butchered his stupid jokes. He couldn't even get them out properly. He said that the T-Rex is extinct because it couldn't adapt. So tonight it will be Brains versus Braun, and Shane accepts the match.
Right, yeah.
Shane was brutal in this segment.
I thought he was better than last week.
High praise.
Let me just say, I don't think any of this is unintended. Like, I think Shane...
He's supposed to screw up his lines as he's reciting them?
Well, you're talking about this week.
Yes.
What did he screw up again?
He had like marbles in his mouth as he was trying to get out stupid is as stupid does, and the stupid tree line.
Yeah. I think maybe I'm more speaking about last week, where like the whole pacing of that thing, seemed to largely be intentional with whatever he was going for, some form of like maybe delayed, like he's operating in a space where he's trying to be mysterious about the reason why he's picking on Braun the way he is. And that continues, I suppose. It was definitely a risky move that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and I think at least that was remedied today with a bit more of a straightforward feud. So they're definitely doing this faster than we thought.
Match to come later tonight. Then Naomi, Lana, Dana, and Mandy were all in the back. I guess going over their match that they were about to have, the four of them?
Guess so.
What were they chatting about? R-Truth shows up dressed as Steve Austin, and he thinks it's 316 day. He is told it is 315. He offers them beer, but they can't drink because they have a match coming up next. So the tag match saw Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler on commentary. They had the heat on Naomi until Lana got the tag. So she was in with Mandy. Asuka comes out and Baszler gets up from the broadcast area and then goes to fight Asuka, who levels her with a spin kick. This was Asuka's return after her beat down by Shayna Baszler a few weeks ago. They're separated. Dana makes a blind tag and hits a neck breaker and pins Lana in 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
Match took fine job.
This was the campaign that Mandy and Dana are on to prove Charlotte that they can face Asuka for the title, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Although it seems like they're being set up for tag team championships. Don't you think?
That's right. It's been a few months since Nia was killing these two by herself, so now we can revisit that feud. Now that they've beaten Lana and Naomi after the long build up for that one as well. I'm sorry. A lot of this was just it was.
That's
here.
Okay. We'll just go on.
Kingston and Woods met with Riddle and his scooter. Riddle wished them luck. These three continue to be at another level of irritation. Riddle suggests that they could all go out and get matching tattoos and then go for all-you-can-eat pancakes.
Yeah, to which the New Day thought that was moving too soon.
Yeah, they're not ready to go to the pancake stage yet with Riddle.
I think Riddle, I guess like they're both pretty obnoxious on their own, but like for a long time the New Day, I at least like it's the type of obnoxiousness that you kind of enjoy. When they join, it just like creates like a Megatron of obnoxiousness to like an unhealthy degree. I just hate these guys together.
Well, they had scooters and pancakes on their mind as they challenged Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander for the Raw tag titles. This one went over 13 minutes. It featured Woods being knocked off the apron. They did this double team maneuver where they sent Kingston off a monkey flip into a spine buster by Shelton Benjamin. Woods would return. New Day flew to the floor, but then Kingston is sent into the steps. Woods onto the desk. Back from break, and Kingston leaps off the top into a Hurricane Rana, followed with a foot stomp. Benjamin scales to the top, suplexing him off, and they're just going back and forth here. And Kofi lands the Trouble in Paradise onto Benjamin, takes out Alexander on the floor, and that leads to Woods hitting the elbow drop off the top. And then Kofi is tagged Daybreak, and the New Day win the tag titles 13-19. They are now 11-time tag champions. You only hit 11 once in your lifetime, so you better cherish 11. That is the magic number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, they are your default tag team heading, and when it comes time to WrestleMania, you want to put the belt on the marquee team in your division. This is just a quick way to pivot. You feel bad, of course, for the Hurt Business, but there wasn't a whole lot of interest, I would say, maybe in any of the stories. Not that there is in the New Day, but they are bigger names. And this looks like their way of springboarding to a completely brand new match involving a brand new team.
Yeah, this just came out of nowhere, where AJ Styles and Omos came out, congratulated the New Day. AJ announced he has nothing planned for WrestleMania and listed off the titles he has won without the Raw tag title as one that he has won. And Omos has decided he wants to be the Raw tag team champions. So on the spot, they declare themselves a team and challenge them for the tag titles at WrestleMania. Kofi asks if they're registered as a team or if they even know how to work as a team. Xavier doesn't have any of these questions. He agrees, and this match is made for WrestleMania. Maybe the most amazing title match that has ever been set up.
They really weren't even trying with this. Like, no qualifying, anything. Just to walk out in a challenge. A guy's first match is a title match.
And they're making this like, this is the draw of the match, is seeing Omos finally wrestle. And I guess that includes not even having to have a match prior to get a title match. So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this tag division, unfortunately, has just been really neglected over the past year on both shows. And they're just really props to feature single stars, and it continues in WrestleMania with Omos.
Is this, we don't know if maybe they planned something for one of the other nights, but if this is AJ's WrestleMania involvement, is this somewhat underwhelming for an AJ Styles match, or is this kind of where he's at? Tag title program.
I wasn't necessarily expecting anything big for him, but I do think it is underwhelming. Unfortunately, like with Story, he seems to be a utility guy you put on your B shows to headline them when you need something hot. But for WrestleMania, like this, it seems to be more for the Vince projects, and I don't know if AJ is one of those guys. He's just sort of a guy now that you use in clutch roles.
And this will have to be a very carefully put together match. Omos is very inexperienced. I mean, that's kind of the draw of this, is seeing him wrestle. But I totally think they're winning the tag titles.
Yeah, sure. Who cares? Makes no difference.
That's the tagline for the match.
It doesn't matter. Like, do you care if the New Day lose the belts? Do you care if like Omos and AJ win the tag team championships? It's just, yeah, I think he should win. It's his first match.
Miz and Morrison were backstage. They met with Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and they joked that Miz has looked awful lately since losing the title to Lashley, and they laugh about him. Miz goes over his accolades and asks, "What titles have you won?" to Damian Priest, who says, "Well, maybe I can start now," as he stands up to Miz. I don't know what title he was going after that Miz does not own. R-Truth appears. He's still dressed up as Austin. He's got the Smoking Skull Championship and a lunchbox, and he's coming up to attack Bad Bunny, but is caught by Priest. And he ends up giving Bad Bunny all of this Austin merch, including the Smoking Skull title. And Bad Bunny asks R-Truth, "What would you like?" And he points to the 24/7 title. Bad Bunny respects R-Truth, knows that this is his baby, so Bad Bunny gives the belt to R-Truth, who is now the 24/7 champion. Is this the most uncreative stuff? The way to build up this tag title match, the way to get this belt off Bad Bunny? Like, Jesus. Did they just go on Twitter and ask the first person that popped up, what's the easiest way we can do this?
Well, not for a second do I think you're going to have your Grammy Award winner, get pinned. Like, suddenly Bad Bunny, I'm not even going to say suddenly, this entire time that he's been associated with the company, he is going to be more well protected than Drew McIntyre. He's not going to get pinned at WrestleMania. He's not going to get pinned at all. He is like the WWE's link to the Grammy Awards, to SNL. They had the gall of the announcers saying, "Oh, Bad Bunny's been on quite the roll. He's won the 24/7 championship, hosted SNL. He won a Grammy Award." They put the 24/7 championship on the same level and the same status as those other things. And he is a godsend for this company in terms of mainstream interest. And you know what? I don't think they're wrong at all to think that way, because he is somebody who could be a difference maker for these shows. He's already on their posters. And I don't think pinning him, it's the 24/7 title, but who cares? But I can also understand why they wouldn't want to pin him with R-Truth or somebody else.
Maybe they were really hoping that he would wear this belt on the Grammys, and once the Grammys were over, we got to keep this division rolling. This is the 24/7 title, and it's inactive. We're missing out on all these gold segments on Raw by having it on Bad Bunny. So thank God that we can get back to normal.
I guarantee you they would have at least suggested that he showed up at the Grammys with it.
He's probably like, "Dude, I went on SNL with your fucking title. I am not going on the Grammys with this thing too."
You're pushing it, guys.
So there you go. New 24/7 champion. Then Tom Phillips makes the note about the WrestleMania on-sale date being moved as they finalize plans. Jackson Riker and Damian Priest. We can say they definitely learned from the Damian Priest-Elias match, because this one went 36 seconds and Damian Priest hit the lights in 36 seconds to win the match.
Shouldn't be anything more. Yeah.
That leads to Elias attacking. He gets the guitar, but Bad Bunny grabs the guitar away. Elias then lifts Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny fires back with a punch. Priest makes the save and hit the lights to Elias, and Bad Bunny is so spooked by what could have happened. He is grabbing his chest. This was like the most frightening thing that almost happened to him. Elias attacking him. Well, then John Morrison comes out, distracting Priest and Bad Bunny, leading to The Miz showing up from behind and breaking the guitar over the back of Bad Bunny.
Yes. You see the headlines now. Grammy Award winner gets hit with the guitar. Like, this was, I think, just a tease of like Bad Bunny getting physical. You got a bit of a sense of maybe some of his training, and starting to push that match pretty hard for WrestleMania.
Sarah Schreiber interviewed Lashley and MVP, stated that Sheamus won't be 100% at Fastlane. What happens to Sheamus is what will happen to Drew at WrestleMania. Our match between Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman never got started, but boy, did they pay this one off. Shane delays, saying he needs to warm up. So he's on the ground. He does push-ups. And then he goes to the side of the ring where he has set up hopscotch. He has a mat to do hopscotch on. Dude, what did this guy do during the commercial break to set up all these stunts? This guy was like auditioning for Home Alone 8 here.
Maybe they've already got all this stuff under the ring.
Just in case? Just in case Shane wants to play hopscotch and
whoever
have mysterious liquid. So Braun chases after Shane, grabs onto him, and throws him into the barricade. Then he sets up for the Strowman Express. He runs around the ring right into a camera that Shane nails him with. And Joe says, talk about an extreme close-up. And then forget about all the legends that come back this time of year. Forget about Edge, Christian, Sting. The biggest comeback of 2021, Shane McMahon's punches. It's WrestleMania season. Shane's punches were back.
Well, that's what I would subscribe to Peacock for.
Oh, the best of Shane's punches. He attacks Braun with his illegal left and right, lays him out on the desk, and then 51-year-old Shane McMahon leaps off the top with an elbow drop. Could you have imagined Gerald Briscoe doing this to Steve Austin in 1998? Because that's like the age proximity that Shane is now in.
Wow. I cannot imagine. But they were very different people physically, I think.
He puts Braun through the table with the elbow, calls him stupid, but that's not enough. He goes underneath the ring and he pulls out a giant bucket and proceeds to pour green slime all over Braun as he repeats, stupid is as stupid does. But that's not enough. He's got a second bucket of green slime. I think the point was made. I think the visual was there, but we needed the second bucket of green slime. And then in the greatest moment on Raw, Braun staggered to his feet, shaking in anger as the slime dripped off his face and yelled, I'm going to rip you in half.
You love this segment.
Oh, God. Sure. Just continue.
I guess the props department had like some leftover goop from Alexa and Randy and just recolored it green. Maybe they got a deal.
Maybe Randy was supposed to vomit this shit up, but they were like, nah, this is not realistic. We need black goo. Well, what are we going to do with all the green goo? I've got an idea.
I will say, I thought they were just going to stall again for this one. And then we were going to get weeks and weeks of stalling all the way till WrestleMania. But they gave us a lot of physicality here. And obviously, big table spot. And, I mean, a WrestleMania level slime spot here.
No, a Fastlane level slime spot.
Oh, Fastlane level slime. Yeah, sure.
Because that's when the match is taking place. Sunday.
Yeah, hard for me to think that they would put all this work into this and just have a match at Fastlane. So I have to think they're setting up for some stip match at WrestleMania.
And shooting an angle Sunday to lead to something?
Yeah, or no contest, some disputed finish. Maybe Shane even wins. But yeah, now I'm trying to I'm just thinking what Shane's going to be jumping off of from Raymond James.
There was a Rhea Ripley promo.
Slime match? I mean, the fact that it's green slime, is very on brand with Nickelodeon. What could they do?
Conor McGregor's coming.
Why? Green slime?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Rhea Ripley, can she just not find Tropicana Field? Is she lost? She made it here in January for the Rumble.
She's walking.
Oh.
She's walking here from Australia.
That's a long walk.
And a swim, yeah.
A couple swims. Alexa's in her playground, and she says if Randy Orton wants her out of his life, you'll have to take me out, and you will have that chance this Sunday. As she laughs. So they are teasing you with a match without outright saying there's a match on Sunday between these two.
Yeah. Or take me out. Could that mean something else?
Maybe he'll do Franz Ferdinand karaoke.
Oh, okay. I was thinking more like, the drive-through.
Okay. The way you say take me out.
Yeah, the drive-in.
That this turns into a romance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It turns into a bad romance.
Ooh, yes. Absolutely.
That could be our musical guest at WrestleMania. Asuka and Shayna Baszler. Baszler says she loved knocking her teeth out and she's going to do it again. Asuka attacks both Baszler and Jax. There's a hip attack that sends Jax off the apron. She's all aggressive. The Kirifuda clutch gets countered to the Asuka lock, then back to the Kirifuda clutch, but Asuka rolls on top, pinning your tag champion in 90 seconds, but the clutch is still applied. Asuka then blocks the kick. Oh, we should also mention the knee spot in this match where she drills Asuka with this knee against the ropes, and they showed this thing in slow motion. Let me just pray that Shayna Baszler has the greatest working knee spot in the industry, because this would really suck for Asuka if it wasn't.
Agreed. Yeah. They were definitely trying to make things look as realistic as possible. So let's hope this was just artistry.
I thought you actually kind of had something with these two, and I mean, in 90 seconds, we just did the match. It doesn't feel like they're going.
I think they are. I mean, this was somewhat of a disputed finish. I mean, it was Asuka winning, but Shayna ultimately choking her out and standing tall at the end of it all. And plus, with all the physicality afterwards, I definitely think they're building to a second one. I think this was more so like them wanting to give Asuka some revenge for, Shayna knocking her teeth out.
Do you think we could have just done this segment as this big brawl? Not do a match for 90 seconds?
Perhaps. But I also don't think the result of the match is on people's minds at the end of it.
Well, exactly. So why even do it? It was forgotten about. You remember the angle.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess I just don't think it hurts.
Asuka blocks a kick and is continuing to go after Baszler, use the Kawada kicks, and then curb stomps her into the turnbuckle in the corner, the spot that Shawn Spears did to Sammy Guevara last week, and then removes the turnbuckle pad, evil Toriano influence, and then takes out Shayna's mouthpiece, placing Shayna's mouth onto the buckle, and was going to curb stomp her into the exposed buckle when the referee intervened. This is the referee with the conscience who stopped Seth Rollins in the Hell in a Cell with Bray and just yelled, "What are you doing? You're going too far," and got in the way here. So you're probably right that this has to lead to somewhere beyond this. But I guess they kind of are leaving the women's title picture pretty wide open as everyone is vying for Asuka, with Charlotte, Dana, Mandy, Baszler's in the mix here, and what they ultimately do. Maybe it's going to be a case where it's going to be multiple nights, and you have Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, we'll see how all that plays out. We'll see if this even maybe makes its way as a singles match to Mania, or if they do some sort of a four-way or something like that. But I thought there was really strong work here. I love like an intense Asuka who's out to kill, and much like a lot of happy accidents in pro wrestling. I mean, it's never nice to have your teeth knocked out, I'm sure, but they're certainly running with that incredible visual of Asuka getting her teeth knocked out. And then they're building a whole storyline out of it that has, some real kind of juice in it already. So I it's a match I'm suddenly interested in.
Ali is lecturing Retribution as Riddle just cruises by in the middle of their conversation on his stallion. This is where they announced the updated lineup for Fastlane with Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. And just looking at all these match graphics, it's really hard to sell any kind of grudge when you've got in the corner Old Spice. Smell ready for anything.
Yeah. You never headed into a fight wearing some Old Spice? You don't want to smell bad during a fight.
Do you want to smell great?
I'm sure your opponent would appreciate it.
Well,
I wonder if they do wear deodorant in wrestling. I mean, you're cooperating with somebody and you putting them in headlocks and getting really, really close. Sure, it's appreciated. Proper hygiene.
Riddle and Mustafa Ali for the United States title. Ali sent Riddle into the edge of the desk on the floor, so he's grabbing his throat, and then Ali hit a swinging neck breaker off the apron to the floor, as Riddle had a comical reaction to this neck breaker. After the break, Riddle did his comeback, Broton, Fisherman Buster, and then T-Bar is distracting the ref as Riddle has a roll-up. Ali reverses the cover, but the ref is distracted, so Riddle gets out, hits Bro Derek, and pins Ali in 8:52. Retribution chases Riddle out, and you won't believe it, but Ali has a fit, and he's pissed at Retribution.
Yeah, I'm waiting for something to happen already with this thing. Like, are they going to turn on him? Is he going to turn on them? It's been weeks and weeks and weeks of this, like, incompetence. He gives a lot of chances, this Riddle.
He's going to bat for these guys. I think he sees the positive in these guys deep down. So
yeah,
he's very patient. Randy says that Alexa dared him to kick her out of his life, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yep.
Drew comes out. He had to do this terrible comedy at the beginning about showering. He was talking about personal hygiene here.
No, very important.
Answered your question.
Yeah.
He spoke about MVP making a guarantee earlier. He said, guarantees are dangerous because if you don't deliver on your guarantee, fans get upset. So I guarantee this Sunday, Sheamus, we are going to have an exploding barbed wire death match. No, he says, Sheamus, it has come down to this. Sunday, I guarantee you, we are going to have a really physical match. And we're going to beat the hell out of each other. Why is this match happening, Sheamus? I have no earthly idea. What has been done to correct last week's no contest? Nothing. We're having a normal match with no stipulation, no rules that will prevent the exact same thing from happening if we use steps. I've already got this match at WrestleMania, so it doesn't matter. We've also booked you in the next match to lose to my more important opponent next month. Everything about this is a mess, Sheamus, but I guarantee you we're going to be very physical on Sunday. But that's all I'm going to guarantee because I'm promising nothing more than the bare minimum that you and I will touch.
I'm surprised he was so revealing.
He let it all hang out here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a lame duck match. That is what the stipulation is.
No, you got to feel bad for these two because they put so much work into the story and it just like gets treated like it's just, nothing. And I think this was really supposed to end weeks ago, but then they really liked that match, so they decided to do it again and then again for this pay-per-view. We all know what the result is going to be. Although,
don't rule out. If they're overthinking themselves, that would be a terrible mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like somebody can cause somebody, like Lashley can come out and cause Sheamus the the match, but they shouldn't do that. Not during WrestleMania season. And there's no interest even after this in a Drew Sheamus challenge for the belt. Like, who cares at this point?
No, they've Drew beat him clean. They've done this. Like, I am sure that this program, to know all the twists and turns of how this thing was just destroyed, of what we got on air, I'm sure that there's been plenty of it. But just if you were to tell me, okay, we want them to have 2 matches on TV and then they're going to have a pay-per-view match. Okay, not ideal, but you could lay them out in such a way that leads to the no DQ match at the pay-per-view on Sunday as your finale. But instead, this has been all over the place. So let's just end this with a very physical match.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really all Drew can say is a guarantee of a high-intensity, violent matchup.
I mean, the matches have been good. They're at least telling you, like, you're going to get a match on Sunday. It's probably going to be your standard 20-minute match. It's been done, but, I mean, they'll have a fine match. It's just, man, have they...
But who cares?
That's it. Cares? Nobody cares. And putting Sheamus in this match here with Bobby, like, you can't beat Bobby. He's the priority over Sheamus, but you are somewhat trying to sell this match on Sunday. So I just thought the booking of this main event just... Like, it's a total.
I don't think it's their priority. Their priority is WrestleMania at this point, and Fastlane is just.
But I'm the viewer that's supposed to be intrigued to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, well, hopefully you like Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns as a draw, and this will just be your bonus, violent match on the undercard.
Lashley gets an over/under on Sheamus, as Tom Phillips notes that Lashley has a good MMA background. So. They had a physical match. Was it a very physical match? Did we go into that territory?
It got pretty physical, I think.
It's all Lashley when they come back from break until he runs into the corner. I've been very critical of the spot that they do in every single big match, but my God, did Bobby throw everything into this. I thought he was going to break this post.
Yeah, they said how the ring might have shifted.
Probably didn't, but hey, this is where you needed that corner cam that Noah uses terribly. This one, maybe you could have gotten away with it. So Sheamus attacks the arm, top rope clothesline, but Bobby is kicking out at 1. And they note, who else kicks out early? Drew McIntyre. Sheamus goes for a brogue kick. It's sidestepped. The Hurt Lock gets stopped with elbows, and then Lashley hits a flatliner, a superplex, and then the spear gets stopped with a knee strike from Sheamus. It got good, especially towards the end. He hits a white noise and got a 2 count, which really is a moral victory for Sheamus, just to get a 2 count on Bobby. He calls for the brogue kick. He is speared in midair, in mid-brogue kick, and Lashley pins him in 17 minutes and 39 seconds. But Bobby's not done. He applies the Hurt Lock onto Sheamus. Sheamus is tossed down like trash. And then Drew gets into the ring, and your go-home image is Drew standing eye to eye with Bobby Lashley as Sheamus is down in the corner. Fastlane can't come quick enough. And then eventually, Drew capitalizes by Bobby looking down at his victim. And while he's looking away from Drew nails him with a Claymore. And you're telling yourself, man, I can't wait for WrestleMania. But I can definitely pass on Sunday. And that was the show.
And that was the point. I mean, that was the point of the show, is to get you ready for WrestleMania. And Fastlane, at least with Drew and Sheamus, is really just another match. It's an appearance for Drew McIntyre. So I would say maybe this is not a very good Fastlane go-home show. There might even be more interest in... I don't know what. It does Randy Orton kick Alexa Bliss? Is one of the main hooks. Of course, you have Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in, I think, a match that's been had a very unique build, to say the least, and will likely continue beyond Fastlane. So Fastlane, I think, is looking, at least on the Raw side, very much a lame duck show. But I also think that this Raw didn't necessarily change that. I think. It's going to be basically a test for Peacock's video stream. That's what we're really all going to be tuning into. Are there going to be any problems for WrestleMania? This is sort of the dress rehearsal. So it's kind of as much as we can expect.
Yep, that's just a show. I mean, this is a show of pretty much a run through to make sure Peacock can handle a mid-sized WWE event. It's a very lame duck show, but I think most realized going in based on the build over the last few weeks, that's what this was shaping up to be. How about the programs that are coming into place for Mania? I'm very uninspired by it just seems like, okay, you two are having a match at WrestleMania. This is why, because Omos wants a tag title. I just think that there is a certain level that for these shows that I just feel like this feels like we're just plucking people into place for their WrestleMania programs. And it's not as though the last couple of weeks, much less months, have been building towards any of this stuff. It just feels like this is, boom, we're just putting people in place for all these programs.
I definitely agree with you with Almost and AJ and that coming out of nowhere with New Day. I mean, it makes you wonder if that was even part of the plan this entire time or if there was something they came up with. You had no association drawn between those in the weeks ahead. But I think that they've done a good job with Lashley and Drew McIntyre, especially on this show. Lashley continues to just feel like just such a dominant champion. And Drew McIntyre, last week I almost felt like Drew was kind of coming across a little bit heelish. He didn't to me at all on this show. He put the focus on him as the babyface chasing the champion. And I think they're set to have a really hot program heading into WrestleMania. I think they've been doing a good job with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest and Miz and Morrison, whatever that match is going to be. You had the Miz have a bit of a spotlight to varying degrees of, I think, success or at least, criticism. But I think he's played the role well. He's at the level of this sort of like obnoxious, annoying character that you just want to see get beaten up. And they've put Damian Priest and I guess Bad Bunny now in that position to do the beating up. So on a mainstream level, I think that's going to be a successful match, and they've done a good job building it.
I think that your two title matches, I think, are in good shape for WrestleMania. I just look at filling 2 nights. I think there's going to be a lot of these examples where it's going to be over the next couple of weeks. We have, how many? 3 more episodes of Raw before WrestleMania to put into context. And 4 SmackDowns. That there's going to be a lot of this. Suddenly, you are paired with this person. This is your Mania program.
Yeah, really the timing of Fastlane, I think really, probably affect. You know what? We've seen them have like months of weeks to build to WrestleMania and it hasn't really helped at all. So maybe it'll be a good thing that you just, see them have a shorter turnaround to get to WrestleMania. Of course, we also have the return of Asuka doing something with Shayna. So we'll see how that turns into a match itself at WrestleMania.
And that one I do give some leeway with the Asuka injury probably setting back some plans where it was probably up in the air. When you're talking about a concussion, it's like you can't necessarily guarantee when someone's going to be able to come back from that. But yeah, so Fastlane, this is what we've got for Sunday. We have 6 matches announced so far, with the big one being Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre against Sheamus, Braun Strowman against Shane McMahon, Big E against Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and listed here, at least to Wikipedia, Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss.
They'll be doing something. They'll be teasing something all night. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you can guarantee probably the Fiend's return, building to the Orton match at some point. I see a title change with Apollo Crews and Big E. Banks and Belair, I don't completely shut that down that you might get a title change either, but I hope not. And everything else will just hopefully be solid matches here. You do have Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, which I think should be a really good match. Drew and Sheamus should be very physical, even though, the outcome doesn't really matter. That's kind of it.
And based on Randy Orton's guarantee of what he's going to do, I think you have a built-in excuse to make this the kickoff match.
Oh, interesting. I hope this show stays at 6 matches.
I would love it. Yes, I would love it. Let's go to some feedback before we sign off. Tonight, the show gets a 4.11.
411.
We start off with Kate, who writes, I missed most of the first hour since I was checking out Dark Elevation, but what I did see seemed to be a modest improvement on the last couple of weeks. I thought Asuka and Shayna gave a great teaser of what they could do together, and I'm happy to know that Asuka is healthy, and I wish they'd take advantage of the excuse for a feud that's fallen into their lap and make that a program for WrestleMania. Sheamus and Lashley worked well together, and I thought that it did a good job of making Bobby look just a little more vulnerable than he has while still looking dominant. I can't figure out why they didn't hold off on announcing Drew versus Lashley for Mania and make his match with Sheamus a number one contenders bout. It feels like Fastlane needs all the help it can get. I'm also a little annoyed that they're immediately elevating McIntyre versus Lashley to the main event of what I assume is night one of WrestleMania. It feels like Sasha and Bianca have earned that slot. Well, we don't know. That's pure guesswork of what's going to headline the show. And I would say that the week of the show, we probably will not know. It's very unlike them, aside from the three-way women's match a few years ago, that they expressly, they actually tell you what is going to be the main event of the show. I think everyone can assume that Reigns and Edge will be one night. I don't throw out Banks and Belair, but based on where this program has gone so far, it does not feel like a main event right now.
Not at this moment, unfortunately, which I would have disagreed with coming off of, Belair making that choice after Rumble. Like, it felt strong. Maybe even then it didn't feel as strong enough to be the main event, but it's certainly been down now with all this Reginald stuff. And, as John mentioned, we don't exactly know the reason why, whether or not like them pushing Drew versus Lashley so hard tonight had anything to do with the original on sale date. But we definitely know that this Drew Sheamus match, this story arc probably didn't go the way that they had intended, because there's no way they would have had Sheamus lose clean.
I think the whole writing of tonight's show seemed geared around putting your Raw Mania picture in place for people. And if they in fact were aiming to sell 45,000 tickets per night, yeah, I think you'd want to use tonight's show to push that. And when this news came down that they could not put tickets on sale, probably was after Raw had been written. And how much are you going to... I don't think they should blow up the show either. I mean, WrestleMania is happening. So the show certainly had that feel to me of one that was very much pushing Mania. And I'm sure tonight would have been a heavy push on that on sale date tomorrow.
All right, finally, we got a Nick who says, with 4 weeks remaining until Mania, there was definitely a greater sense of narrative urgency throughout tonight's episode. While it would have made sense to keep all the belts on the Hurt Business, I enjoy the idea of AJ and Almas attempting to dethrone WWE's tag team mainstay in the New Day. Styles has been one of the most protected stars on any brand and deserved a big spot on the card. These past few months have seen Sheamus at his absolute peak as an in-ring worker, and he had another tremendous showing with Lashley tonight. I'm glad he gets a promoted match with Drew on a pay-per-view, and I hope he's rewarded with a spot on the Mania card. With no signs of part-timers like Brock Cena and The Undertaker, these main events need a no-nonsense build in order to feel massive. Drew and Bobby have to look titanic coming into April, so tonight felt like a step in the right direction. I would also hereby like to start a petition for John and Wai to take Kofi's advice, get the paperwork done, and officially register as a tag team. I feel like you guys would get a title shot in no time. I don't know if I'd want those Raw Tag Team Championships. I feel like it would be a step down from even what I'm doing right now.
Well, you could say you don't want them, and you could still be given the chance anyway. Rankings work very different on Raw.
Now, the 24/7 title, if I maybe bought a replica belt and asked nicely.
Yeah, barter.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Those that joined us live or downloaded the show. We have a packed schedule coming up this week. We will next be speaking with you on Tuesday with Rewind Away as we go back to review Evolve #1. John Cena will stop by with some of his thoughts on that very first event from Rahway, New Jersey. Evolve 1.
Evolve #1, yeah. Excited to talk to Cena about it, and yeah, you have a Lenny Leonard Q&A coming out at the same time.
I'm glad that Cena got in before this week, because Evolve's probably going to be off the network after this week, right?
Who knows? We'll find out. What is it, Thursday?
Thursday is the transfer, yes.
You don't think somebody at NBC right now is transferring all the Evolve shows, the entire Evolve?
I mean, they're stating that they are in the process of transferring like everything, but won't be up by the summer. I don't know where Evolve will fit in the pantheon of priorities on the network.
Just imagine
probably right around Smoky Mountain.
Imagine like the Evolve DVDs sitting next to like master copies of The Office and like Fast and the Furious and whatever else they've got on that thing.
Well, I am sure that there's going to be outrage from some people on the new Peacock version of WWE Network. A transition that we will not have to go through. But I do encourage people to leave us feedback, maybe on the forum, those in the US, to give us their experience going through the network on Peacock and some of the changes and what's there later this week. So that's going to wrap things up. Go check out postwrestling.com. Once again, Wai, that sale is going on all week for patrons to get $7 off the official Rocky Maivia Picture Show t-shirt at store.postwrestling.com.
$7.
$7. Become a millionaire here at Post Wrestling. Good night.